Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Alexium International Group half-year results investor presentation. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Roisin Garman, the chair of the group. I'd like to welcome you today to this presentation. We have with us our CEO, Billy Blackburn, and also our CFO, Jason Lewis. So they're going to take you through the presentation. I'm going to ask Jason to speak first. But through this webinar, you are able to ask questions as we go. And so if you do have any questions, then please feel free to include your question and send it through to us. And we'll endeavour to get through all of them. I note that we have had a few questions come in advance, and so Billy and Jason will work through those questions as well. So I know you're all here to talk to the management, so why don't I hand over to Jason.
Thank you, Roisin. Revenue for the half year was down 35% for the same period last year, and up 19% from the second half of FY 2022. Customer retention remained strong, except for one customer leaving the North American market. However, this volume was recovered by a new manufacturer for the same brand. We also experienced first commercial sales with 3 other new customers. Gross margins are down 240 basis points for H2 FY22 due to product mix. Gross profit was down $826,000 with lower sales and margin compression, and up $84,000 from the second half of FY22. Operating expenses were flat compared to the same period last year and down $598,000 from H2 FY22. We experienced changes in headcount, which included the addition of Billy Blackburn as CEO, offset by a reduction in force due to redundancy with Bob Brookins moving into the Chief Technology Officer position. These combined factors have led to a $681,000 EBITDA improvement versus the previous half year. Next slide, please. Some additional comments to the P&L after EBITDA versus the same period last year. Amortization is lower due to a year-end write-off of our FR Nickel intangible asset due to accounting standards. Interest expense is higher with the addition of the alternative line of credit, which began in Q4 of FY 2022. There was a $576,000 loss on the debt extinguishment, offset by a gain in fair market of the value of the derivative of $192,000 as a result of the removal of the existing note with a new note. Next slide, please. Cash receipts are down $3 million and product purchases lower by $2.6 million with decreased revenue. The balance of the operating activities were lower by $200,000, of which half was due to the deferral of interest on our term note. Investment activities were up with the increase in development costs of new technologies. There was also a cash influx of 1.5 million Australian dollars due to the renewal of the convertible note. More on that in the balance sheet slide. Next slide, please. Working capital increased $100,000 due to increase in AR and AP, offset by a decrease in inventory on lower revenues. We continue to utilize our alternative line of credit using our cash management processes. As of the reporting date, the line availability plus the cash on hand totaled $2.1 million. The existing convertible note of 5.15 million Australian dollars that was coming due in December 2023 was replaced with a $7 million convertible note in December with Collington Capital. The new note issuance repaid the face value of the old note, 5.15 million, accrued interest of 350,000, and the company received an additional 1.5 million Australian dollars to support working capital needs. The general term of the new note is 3 years, 10% cash coupon interest, and 12% when the company decides to defer any accrued interest payments, which we are currently doing. The conversion price was set to 3 cents, which is greater than a 75% premium versus the stock price at the end of December. That's what I have for review. Thank you. Billy?
All right, well, hello to all our friends in Australia, and I look forward to hopefully meeting most of you someday soon. Next trip down should be our winter here, your early spring there. Did have a nice visit last November and for the AGM in November. First time to Australia, first time to Sydney. Lovely place, lovely people, and look forward to coming back. So I'm effectively a little over 6 months into the job here. And I'll speak to the presentation a little bit, but I wanted to just speak to you all about how things are going. And so far, so good. The team at Alexium has been really gracious to me and been very supportive of me coming in, especially Dr. Brookins and Jason as my partners in the executive management. They've helped usher me in and get me up to speed quickly. Dr. Brookins has been wonderful in the transition from CEO to CTO, and has been a good partner in bringing me up to speed and all the nuances of the business and introductions and getting to know our key customer base. And that really is my charter for coming to Alexium, is to drive commercialization and to be customer facing. And a lot of my activity and energy is spent in that capacity each day. So a little bit about the business. And most of you have seen a lot of this before, so I'm going to speak to it a little bit differently. So an overview of our business is, we're a performance materials, and I'm going to put the emphasis on the word materials because some of the products that we're rolling out currently and taking to market right now are indeed rolled goods. So our Eclipsis and our Del Cool products are actually materials where we're selling a treated fabric or substrate for thermal management and comfort management solutions. It's a little bit different than the Alexium of days past, where it was more of a specialty chemical and performance chemical business. Now we're really putting emphasis into solving comfort solutions or FR solutions for customers, and moving a little bit further up the supply chain into some of the rolled goods where our chemistries are applied. So that gives us basically the ability to grab a bigger share of the wallet and revenue while taking on the same risk profile. So if you look at it from a different angle, we'd have the same risk if our chemistry was on the fabric, whether we sold the fabric or not. So that's a little bit of a step change for the commercial strategy for Alexium, and it moves us a little closer to the ultimate end users. Also gives us a little more control over how the supply chain plays out. 25 global patent applications in thermal regulation and FR fields. Really, we're really pushing right now to be focused on our core market and deliver value, where a lot of the investment that happened over the years that led till now can be realized, and then being disciplined before we chase adjacent markets right now to make sure our limited resources are very focused on delivering the investment first. And as that plays out, we'll move more into those adjacent areas. I'll speak more to that as the presentation moves forward. Alexium is a pioneer in phase change materials, and phase change materials are, still an evolving marketplace. And I don't believe we've even tapped into all the potential application of PCMs. But we are enjoying the benefits of some improvements to the products right now, and that is opening up some new markets. And I'll speak a little more to that as we go forward here. And we're now moving global, and that's part of our strategy also, is to really concentrate on saturating the US and North American market, and Canada and Mexico as well, and then leverage that in some of the international brands and our international supply chain to move to distribution and sales in other markets such as Europe, Australia, and developed countries in Latin America and the Asia Pacific. And I'll report that we've had some success there recently and plan to leverage that to expand more sales globally. So the products that you've heard a lot about in the past are the PCMs. Alexicool is our workhorse PCM, and it's really brought us along into the bedding market and the top of bed markets, and it continues to be one of our best sales products. BioCool is really transitioning through right now, and there's a lot of folks that are looking for that bio-based, green initiative. So those sales are actually growing faster than Alexicool in the PCM space for bedding, and we expect that to continue to be the case. It's a wonderful product, and to have something that's 94% bio-based and USDA certified for being bio-preferred, it's really best in class. So there's no forever chemicals, there's no toxic species. It's opening doors for us. And as we continue to improve our PCM processes, we'll be making wet cake versions and powder versions of BioCool and Alexicool to take to market. And those are higher solids. Obviously, powders is all solids. It opens up new markets, more foam applications and potential packaging and automotive applications. So our PD group is continuing to refine those products. Eclipsis has been a little slow to catch on, and we're actually gaining a lot of momentum right now. We really concentrated the efforts last fiscal year, in pushing Eclipsis into bedding, and that still remains our largest opportunity. It's going into mattresses, and mattresses have a very long launch cycle, 12 to 18 months at best. So you'll see the Eclipsis sales in bedding with a major brand start to catch on at the end of this fiscal year, in the June timeframe. We'll see some more earnest sales for those bed bills later in the calendar year, and then those beds go commercial in January of 24, which is where we'll see a ramp up of Eclipsis sales in bedding. And I'll speak to the tactical gear sales for Eclipsis here shortly, but a lot of development work there. And really last year, January of 2022, we participated in the SHOT Show, and it was early in the launch of Eclipsis. We had a lot of interest from folks that make tactical vests, helmets, and shoes. And we started down the path of development with them, and it exposed some improvement areas that we needed for Eclipsis. And so we've gone with a thicker micron material now, different process for manufacturing. We've moved the manufacturing location to a world-class facility. And all of that has culminated in a much better, really new and improved Eclipsis this is for tactical gear. And that has led to the folks where we kind of stumbled a little bit last year in the development, to now several new developments going on, several new companies launching in law enforcement and military tactical vests. So we're quite confident now that we've got it figured out, and that'll be ramping up throughout this calendar year. Delcool is one of the most exciting developments going on in the company right now, for a handful of reasons. First is it's really a game changer technology for thermal comfort in bedding space. And it gets to thermal comfort by heat index from humidity and heat, the combination, the feeling of being hot and sweaty. So this dehumidification technology can be easily adhered to the construction of a mattress, can be quilted in, can be sewn in as a layer, can be layered in a liner to a foam mattress as well. And the really interesting part that makes it novel is the temperature delta, so the drop in heat that you get from the heat index. And we're testing and we're getting results that are as high as 20 degrees Fahrenheit, but we're holding the advertising and the claims to 12 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's nothing in the bedding market that does that now. So it's a game changer that's got the actual data and technology to really revolutionize, thermal comfort. And that's a big push in bedding right now, is cooling and thermal comfort. Part of that was driven by a lot of foam mattresses have become the more popular brands, like a Tempur, a Purple in the US, Lisa, Nectar, some of these brands. And foam mattresses are typically fairly hot. They don't breathe as well as a textile mattress. This solves for that, and in a very rapidly growing space in bedding. And I'll speak to our concentration for that. The other really interesting part about Delcool is it should be priced and positioned. And let me use Eclipsis as a comparative. Eclipsis is really plays well because of the cost structure and the way it's manufactured into the beds, it plays well in the top end of the space. So in luxury brands, where Del Cool brings us into a price point where we can get into a mid-tier mattress and not be cost prohibitive. So it should open up high volume turnover and sales that gets you into mattress sales that are, hundreds of thousands up to millions of mattresses a year. So that's really our commercial strategy, is to push that into a higher volume channel. Lexiflam and AlexiGuard, we've got new traction on testing with our FR Nico fabrics in the military segment, and all results have been positive so far. And I'll dive a little deeper into that here shortly. One of the things I want folks to understand that's going on, and this is a little bit of a change at Alexium right now, is we're bringing a disciplined focus to resource allocation and where we select to put our focus in the market and certain customers. So our core focus in the green is where we're aiming to spend 70% of our time, and we're executing quite well against this strategy now. And that's a focus for our PCM, Del Cool, and Eclipse. And that can be innerspring, it could be foam mattresses, could be low cost, high volume, bed in a box, e-retail type mattress sales. And then top of bed in pillows and mattress toppers. Interesting thing for top of bed, we've had a really fast launch, and we'll speak about this in an announcement to the market here soon. But we turned a pillow launch in 90 days, and from the concept of the pillow design, through the build of samples, through the testing of the materials, and this was a Del Cool pillow, and to all the way through processing samples to now we're ramping up manufacturing as of this week, actually. And it was in a record time for us in 90 days to turn that. That is so much faster than launching a mattress. So we're putting a lot of focus on our marketing and business development short term in the top of bed, because we know we can get speed to market in a very slow, depressed mattress market right now. Consumer index is quite low, so mattress turnover is low right now. But we're really focusing in those areas because we know, A, our products are proven to work. B, we have some growth areas with Del Cool and Eclipses that could really pile on the revenue for Alexium. And then lastly, that's where our investment is. That's what we know. And the investment's not just in the resources for technical development and patents and ramping up production. It's also an investment in relationships with the market and customers. And we have the most traction there. So this focus you're seeing is for fiscal years 23, the remainder of this year through the end of June, and really all of next year for 24. So it's, when we launched this strategy change, it was about an 18-month horizon. So we're really going to focus this way in that 18-month window to deliver cash positive results and revenue, significant revenue growth for Alexium by leveraging where our investment has already happened. So it's really just an operational discipline. To that, adjacent to that in the purple are some really large opportunities that also large investments have been made, and they don't require as much of the resources at Alexium right now to see these through. And that may change with the Eclipses and tactical vests and body armor as more folks adopt. We're probably going to have more load on our laboratories doing the thermal testing, but those aren't big requirements. They require a few days each for each customer, and there are several customers in the hopper right now. And I'll report on the FR Nico with the military here shortly, but we have finally delivered an FR Nico that meets the initial requirements, and it's moved into testing and field trials, which is very promising. Lastly, in the smallest bucket of our focus will be in breakthrough areas. And we have leads on new business in these areas, but we're having to really, pump the brakes on those initiatives right now to really focus in our core and adjacent markets where short-term revenue lies. And that doesn't mean we won't take the call. We won't look at things. We're just not going to let the company as a whole chase those right now and distract from the core focus of, really good positive revenue and cash positive results. But there are some really big, longer term leads there that could lead to significant growth, over a 3 to 5 year window out for Alexium. And I won't read those. I'll take them as read, keeping to the discipline. Get where I can see this better. So our core focus, building on what I just said, is to grow and diversify bedding market revenue. Very broad statement, right? And it sounds like just a big old broad brush of what might happen, but there's a lot under that statement that really matters. So growing revenue, yeah, that's a no-brainer. And there looks to be, we're doing a lot of research right now on our business plan, and we're rolling that out with our budget in the May-June timeframe. But in that research, what we found is there's a lot of space for growth for our PCM and our other thermal management technologies in bedding. So, I believe based on that research, we're just scratching the surface in growth. We're in a 50-year low market for bedding right now. And I can tell you the PCM customers that Alexium has right now, there's enough customer base if their sales volumes were where they should be in an up market. So if you look back to 2021 and the volumes around that time frame, the market penetration and customer base we have right now, if the market were to restore to that level, Alexium would already be cash positive. It's just a very depressed market right now, and we're weathering the storm. But with that said, there's enough customers out there as we grow the customer base and diversify in the bedding space. And diversifying in the bedding space can mean two to three things. Diversifying from traditional mattresses, textile and innerspring mattresses to the foam market, which the developments and improvements we've done to the PCM over the last 12 months are opening those doors now, and we're starting to break a lot of new ground in foam. It also can be diversifying in that market globally, so moving out of North America into Europe, Australia, Asia, and Latin America. And then also diversifying it, there's another tier to that, is not just mattress focus, but focusing on top of bed, like pillow and pillow toppers, which we are doing. So there'll be growth and diversification just within bedding. And then we'll speak to growth and diversification outside of bedding for all of Alexium's revenue. Q3, and we've seen this already, increased BioCool sales. So BioCool has a growing percentage of our PCN sales right now. So it's taken over more of the Alexicool traditional sales. And that's as more customers are moving to more sustainable claims and they're more interested in a bio-based product. And that's going well. So, and we anticipated that, and we're positioning as such. Del Cool sales commence in pillow applications. You're going to see a market announcement go out in the next week to 10 days. In that market announcement, we are, we're launching. We've gone commercial. So we're in production this week, and we're starting low rate production, de-risking it, starting with a 5,000 pillow liner order. And we're starting off with 500. Going to do all of our QC, QA validation since it's the first run. And then we'll move to 1,000, 1,500, and so on. And we have a 17,000 liner order in hand right now that we're building out the production for. BioCool sales commence in Europe. We're in qualification with the first of two, and these are fabric finishers, so the textile finishers that sell as tier ones to one of the top 5 brands worldwide. And they've moved some of their business from China to Turkey for another low-cost textile option outside of China that's a little bit more stable. So that actually starts our sales of PCM to Europe as we start to grow our business there. And we'll take the same approach following some of the tier ones and some of the work that we do in North America, opening up doors globally with the larger brands. From there, we'll start participating in some of the international trade shows and picking up regional and national customers in other countries and continents. But we do plan to continue to diversify globally as well. And we've learned that, with the pricing of our products, when you look at that versus the freight to deliver them to these other countries, we're able to do that And we learned that from supporting some tier 2 producers that were utilizing low-cost production in China. And that taught us that we could go to the far corners of the earth with our products and deliver them in some very difficult supply chains. So that emboldened us to start to move globally. And we've gotten basically the products where we need them, where we're very confident in going that far out with them and supporting the quality. Q4, which we're about to start here in a few weeks, Eclipsis sales will start in application. And this is for a large brand, one of our largest brand customers. And it's going to ramp out. It's going to ramp slowly through this year as they build test beds. You have to go through a lot of burns on mattresses, a lot of validation and testing. Then later this calendar year, they'll build the floor models that are going to go into showroom floors at retail outlets like big box department stores and then retail mattress stores. And then they are starting sales and planning to ramp inventory starting in January of 24. Alexium's PD group, we've really worked on our PCM enhancements, and we've made a change to the chemistry in the PCM that it's really opened up some doors for us to start getting into better ways of processing and filtering the materials to get to a higher solids content. Higher solids content equals more cooling, and then ultimately to get into a dry powder formula. These open up some applications in the foam space and also foam pillows and foam toppers, but also foams that are used in cooling applications outside of bedding as we start to move into other markets. These dry high solids formulas open those doors, and those could be a number of applications. Could be automotive, could be cold chain packaging, but those are in our adjacent focus right now, and they'll come as we achieve success in bedding and move through 24 into 25 and start to open those markets. For the adjacent focus in the Q3, we have numerous customers. We came out of the SHOT Show in Las Vegas in January with at least a dozen new leads that are qualified, and about half of those right now are in testing. They've received the samples. We've changed the application of the Eclipsis in the vest to a much easier manufacturing step where it's sewn in and it's getting better cooling results as well. And we've had some successful field trials. Most recently, the Under Armour field games and a lot of the military elite fighters were there competing in field trials. And we had overwhelming testimonials from them, positive results that the cooling worked. And that's led to basically expedited testing with a handful of the folks that are making the vests. We expect to start seeing revenue in earnest late Q4 from that. And that's as folks start to put more field material out there and need yardage to make additional vests to get them on more users. And then an adjacent focus for that is our FR NICO for military uniforms. We completed lab testing, and we're now in field evaluations for our FR treated NICO rolled good. The U.S. military has samples of our material. We're awaiting final results. They're a little past due. We expected them in late January, early February, but now we're hearing it should be, in the coming weeks. So they're behind in their testing, but all initial results were positive. We ran the same tests in our laboratories in South Carolina, and we have now finally delivered an FR NICO that meets the FR requirements, meets the tear strength, meets the weight, and the breathability that they were looking for. Now they've got to validate it in their laboratory, but they have stepped up their approvals and ordered additional fabrics right now to go ahead and cut and sew and make some field test uniforms in advance of their final testing. So they're showing us a lot of confidence in our testing results. We still have a major hurdle to get over with them. It's called the Pyro Man. And the Pyro Man, I'm going to explain it in lay terms, but it's a dummy in a pyro burn test lab in a room. They put the uniform on and they hit it essentially with flamethrowers, open flames, and there's a 4-second burn result that they're looking for. And it's a no melt, no drip for the nylon piece, which the FR protects. And then they're looking for a certain char length where the material stays intact and protects ultimately the soldier or user from it melting or burning to their skin. And that's really the gold standard. But all the other testing has gotten over the hurdle. That one still is to come. What we're doing to position Alexium to respond to this commercially is we're working, there's really 4 companies that'll be in a supply chain to supply this to the military. There's the initial fiber maker of the cotton and nylon, the weaver that pulls it together, the FR supplier, Alexium, and then ultimately the finisher that puts the military camouflage print and the FR on, and then does the heat set and stretching and gets it ready for the cut and sew. So it's quite a layer cake of companies that get involved in these supply chains. So we're in advance and we're confident we're going to be successful. So in advance of any commercialization, we're working with these potential partners to qualify them and make sure we shore up any agreements to move should the military get the final approval in place for us and want to order significant yards. So we have to run that in parallel. So where are we today? Lexicool and BioCool are established as premium brands. We received an award in the last year with Serta Simmons, and that's second largest bedding brand worldwide, with Tempur Sealy being the first largest. And we've advanced our PCM chemistry and our manufacturing. That's opening up a lot of new sales. So as I mentioned, the potential to do higher solids and powder opens up new markets. But also our brands are really gaining confidence. The folks that are now been using them for greater periods of time are opening doors through referrals for us and to some of their other customers that want to apply PCM. So we're not just selling it to tier ones that make beds and pillows and toppers for large brands. Some of these tier ones now are wanting to bring the PCM to be their house PCM to go to smaller brands, which is opening up some of the small markets we wouldn't have otherwise seen. Again, we're pushing out into Asia and Europe. And that's already underway. We've launched the pillows for Delcool, and that'll be hitting retail shelves this spring. Late spring at this point, it's probably May, maybe early summer, June. And then Eclipsis is finally rolling out this year, and we'll start to realize significant sales from that in bedding next calendar year, second half of fiscal year 24 for us. So next steps, second half, where we are right now in second half of fiscal year 23. We're continuing to push for growth in textile applications in the mattress and top of bed. And that's really our core breadwinner business. We're looking to grow and diversify in foam bedding applications. And a lot of the companies in our pipeline right now are doing testing of our PCMs in foam. And then we've got a handful of new customers looking at Delcool for foam for a zip-on liner. That would be a game changer, as I said early, cooling technology for foam mattresses. Delcool is also, if you think of the bedding market in a triangle, with the top of the triangle being the premium brands where they sell less mattresses per year. And then you get to the bottom of the triangle where it's low cost, less than 500, kind of bed in a box mattresses. We're really going after that middle tier where there's millions of mattresses sold a year, where the price point supports the addition of cooling technologies. And we believe Delcool is going to open that door for us. And getting into those sales channels where Alexium traditionally was positioned in premium brands, now where we can get into that mid-tier where there's a turnover and we have a significant cooling technology that meets the price and cost demands, that should open up large volumes over the next 18 months. And then Eclipsis on the high-end side brings in high dollars. It's a much higher dollar per unit sales, so you don't have to sell as many mattresses to achieve the revenue there. A 20,000 mattress a year launch or placement in retail for Eclipsis is substantial for us. Next, the value from all this is new revenue growth from our PCM product suite being secure and really growing and folks establishing more trust in the product. We've got reduced concentration from a single market vertical. Really, Alexium was very concentrated with one brand and also very concentrated in the textile side of the mattress market. So the innerspring textile mattresses, we're now diversifying away from that risk. And then, good old fashioned, just roll up your sleeves, hard work, sales is what we're into right now. We're making a lot of sales calls to a wider market, and we're pushing for our products to go out wider into the global market. So for Eclipsis and tactical gear, the improvements I mentioned earlier have really opened up some new doors. A lot of new companies looking at product adoption, and a lot of companies that we were not successful with last year, the first half of 2022, have come back to us and given us a second chance. So, and that's pretty common when you launch something that's such a beta technology and it's so new. There's a lot that you have to learn. So there was a lot of trial and tribulations that we had to learn the hard way. And we're applying those learnings now to get greater leverage and a much better percentage chance of success. And new trials commencing right now. I can tell you there's a handful of exciting ones out there. I can't get into too many specifics due to confidentiality, but if you look at the global market for tactical gear, it's about 2.2 billion in some reports, and there's some disparity in the reports, but it's a large market globally. And there's 10 significant players in that market that dominate about 80% of the volume for tactical gear. We're working with one of those 10 right now in a placement, and it's the second time they've run trials with us. The first time we didn't have a lot of success in the adherence of the material into the vest. This time we're having great success. So they're fast tracking their trials, and it's in 2 different law enforcement vests. And these are established sales channels where they can drop Eclipsis into an existing product line to sell enhancement at a higher price point to give a cooling benefit to the officers that use it. If it goes well with that customer, we're able to make it through the rigors of ramping up. Basically, our commercial strategy will shift to going after the other 9 in that space. Eclipsis for tactical gear is a little bit of a different marketing strategy than bedding. In the bedding space, the brands are key, and the brands almost have brand warfare going on all the time. So we have to be very careful about Alexium's branding in that space if we're going to work in a wide market. So said differently, if we try to put Alexium's name or our product names on everything in the bedding space, it'll carve out part of the market where others wouldn't work with us because they don't want to use the same technologies that others are. So we have to stay more behind the scenes in bedding. Eclipsis and tactical gear is a little different, and ultimately, as we move through the markets and start to take Eclipsis into other channels like sporting goods, we'll use the brand Eclipsis in that. So it's completely a 180 difference than it is in bedding, where we actually want strong branding there and have it tied to Alexium. And, if you think of the computer you're probably looking at right now, it probably has a sticker on it that says Intel inside. In this case, we would want Eclipsis to be the Intel inside for tactical gear and then ultimately athletic gear. In the bedding space, we don't want to be the Alexium inside because the channel conflicts it creates in branding. So the improved sampling and testing and product application protocol, that's leading to all these new opportunities. And then field tests are starting here in Q4 for us, so late spring, early summer here in the States. Again, new revenue streams, diversifying us away from being over-concentrated in bedding, improved profit, really good margins in Eclipsis for tactical gear. It's not as cost sensitive as the bedding space, and it gives us greater market penetration and a diversified customer base. So a lot of value to be had there. FR Nyco for military uniforms. This is a long story for Alexium, and the original Alexium born out of FR. I'm lucky because I'm the benefactor of a breakthrough that happened last year where we finally, again, to repeat myself, but we got basically hit the right results for the FR add-on for weight, the tear strength in the fabric that's accompanying that, the breathability. And we believe ultimately it's going to be in the right price point as well. We know the one that plays in that space now, I won't say the brand, but they're really high price, and that high price precludes them from being on a broader, higher volume of military uniforms. So it really only gets put into really niche specific applications for deployed soldiers where they can afford a bigger budget. And what the military is seeking is an FR uniform, FR fabric that they can put on all deployed soldiers and Marines. So that's really the holy grail here, is to get the price with the product attributes, the qualities, and the FR, safety for the soldier. And that gets it into a wider channel. And we believe we're on the right path finally to achieve that. So we've created the flame resistant nylon and cotton, and we're working with an advanced nylon fiber and piecing together supply chain now. We have delivered a production scale FR fabric, and it passed all the initial tests. But like I said earlier, we got a few more hurdles to get over, and that's just a matter of timing and getting through the testing. We have delivered, well, some of these next steps are actually have already happened. So we have delivered right now fabric for cut and sew of uniforms, and they've actually asked for more because they want to put more uniforms out there. And this is where the military has the cart in front of the horse a little bit, because typically they wouldn't do field tests until they pass all lab results. But I believe the need is so dire and they have such an appetite for it that they're now running those in parallel. So, excuse me, losing my voice here. It's pollen season in the States. So we're actually giving more fabric to them right now. And our team was at the facility last week, overseeing the quality of that fabric being produced. And that fabric will get treated and then go to a cut and sew where they'll make some field test uniforms. And again, we're working on the supply chain to make sure we're ready if they want to move forward commercially, that we have the supply chain partners in place with agreements to respond to a commercial offering. This is a large opportunity for us. Could be, game changer for the revenue overnight. That's the size of the opportunity. So that type of revenue really could push in one product suite, push Alexium over the cash positive and well beyond. It also solves for market concentration in bedding and product concentration in PCM. So it diversifies markets and customers, and be a significant improvement to profitability, not only through healthy margins, but obviously revenue outpacing fixed costs, drops a lot more dollars to the bottom line. And we're going to open it up for questions from here. And it's really where we wanted to spend our time today, is having a conversation with the investors and trying to address any questions you all might have. So I'm new to this technology, so forgive me if we stumble through it a little bit, but we'll open it up from here.
So just as a reminder, will you please enter your questions through the Q&A section? And while we're waiting for some questions to come on, Billy, we have some that were sent in.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start with one that was in regards to what you said in the presentation. It says Billy implied that the burn test might be a doubtful pass. Is this the case, or was this a misinterpretation?
It's an unknown, but no, it's not a doubtful pass for us. And to expand on that, it's a very rigorous test, and that's where a lot of new FR fabrics have been tabled. To get 4 seconds and to get the char links that they need on the fabric, and to get the no melt, no drip that the military is seeking, they have to sacrifice one of the attributes of the fabric. So it's either going to be the tear strength or the weight of the fabric, which is the breathability and comfort for the soldier, or the FR treatment, or some magic mixture of each percentage, right? And we believe we're right there at it. we don't have the way to replicate that test, and there's really no point in replicating that test because they will only certify off of their lab. So it wouldn't matter if we used a third party or our own testing apparatus. The testing that we've done here suggests that we'll pass. We don't know that we're going to pass with flying colors, again, because we can't replicate it, but we are very confident. Clearly, the military is confident because they're moving forward at such a pace that they're not letting it be a showstopper. The other thing that can happen there is they may relax their it's called a mil spec. And that's just shorthand for military specification. They may relax their specifications on the burn. So it's the pyroman test. And so that could come in a number of ways. It could be they relax the specifications on the no melt, no drip, and they could relax the specifications on the char length, which are two of the attributes they look for to protect the soldier from the uniform melting on them or just engulfing them in flames. Or they could relax the time of the burn from 4 seconds to 3 or some other interval that we don't know yet. And that's totally their prerogative. That's a standard they've set. And they've set such a high bar, very few have gotten over it. And it's the reason they don't have, a low cost, high volume option that works with the right combination of economics and attributes right now. So it's we're very confident and we're looking forward to that test. And also if should we get to that test and not pass, the posture that we're seeing right now suggests that they would work with us to make the improvements to get it to the right specification. So no, it's not a low confidence thing for us. It's just a hurdle we must overcome. Hopefully I answered that.
Okay. Is it possible for shareholders to know who our customers are? Example, the pillow contract that's supposed to be finalized soon. If not, why not?
Well, simplest answer is no, and we can't announce things before they're done because that's ultimately we could shoot ourselves in the foot with disclosures under secrecy agreements or disclosures we don't want in the marketplace for competitors. And in some case, we're dealing with companies that don't want their name out in a public venue as well, so that prevents us from announcing as well. And then other cases, if we do have their express permission, and that means in writing an agreement, we can announce, but we won't announce until the agreement is signed. So the agreement you're referencing is currently being negotiated. The terms are being negotiated. So we can't announce that customer yet. But typically we don't use customer names in a public forum. And I'm happy to expand on that if I didn't answer it. Sorry to tap dance.
Okay. Exactly how is the company really going with the new direction taken with new initiatives like contracts, etc.? Are these new directions taken starting to show in the company's bottom line? Example, increase in revenue.
Yeah, I'll start with the obvious answer. No, it's not showing yet. Emphasis on yet. I've spent my career in commercial positions and capacities, and I've made a career out of using terms and contracts to close business. So it's not only a strategy, it's a tactic. I also believe it's good business discipline to have known terms and conditions with your customers and your suppliers, where everybody knows the rules of the game. Alexium really has spent the last 3-4 years developing a really good technology and product suite that's really afforded the opportunity to bring me in to drive the commercial success. So there weren't a lot of agreements in place that had supply terms with price over volume and lengths of the contract and true accountability in them. We're now in a position to do that. The results aren't showing up yet because we're really early in the journey. I'm 6 months in. I can tell you we have about a half dozen agreements in negotiation right now that will lead to bottom line results, that will lead to better forecasting, better terms, and better management of really the commercial outcome altogether. And these are these are bilateral agreements. We want it to work for the customer and Alexium. So, we're not looking to be harsh or be heavy-handed. We're looking for fair dealing and to protect our margins and more importantly, protect our IP. So the answer is not yet, but that is coming. And I would welcome that question repeatedly as we move forward, because I know this approach will shore up the bottom line.
Okay, I'll take this one, Billy. As your revenues grow, timing differences in AP and AR can drive up capital requirements. How are you thinking about this? Well, we have discipline in place with strict working capital management we've had for a number of years now. What we do is we utilize an S&OP discipline, sales and operating planning, for forecasting our sales, coupled with loading this into a materials resource planning module in our ERP, a lot of acronyms. This helps us to time purchases and manufacturing to coincide with invoicing and AR, which in turn helps us to crash our cash conversion cycle and keep it tight. The forecasting is not perfect. There's times of ebb and flow, but for the most part, we are able to keep that conversion cycle pretty close.
And Jason, the other question there, I guess, is how we use the line of credit.
Yeah. Thank you, Rasheen. So we draw and pay back the line of credit on call it a weekly basis, so you can get a sense of frequency. We're looking out at our cash needs. I'm not going to say on a daily basis, but pretty close to it. We have a really good handle on what's going out the door and what is coming in. This company has what I consider clean accounts receivable. There are times when we have to, do collections, not external collections, but internal collections with our customers. That's just normal course of business. In the 4.5 years I've been here, we have not written off an account. So we have good customers, good suppliers, and our suppliers also work with us and understand where we're at in our growth cycle. So we stay close to our suppliers as much as we stay close to our customers.
And can I just add, just so everyone's aware, the directors have actually worked through the S&OP process and tested the models. And so, my comment is for this size of organization, it's robust. The other comment I would make is that across all my boards, the accounts receivable here are in fantastic shape.
Right. Next one's for me. It came in before the meeting here. It says, can you provide an update on the multi-year Delcool supply agreement? It's a two-part question. I'll answer that one first. Yes, I can. It's actually, we're negotiating the terms right now. In advance of that, though, because of the October show in New York, and then again, the betting show in January in Las Vegas, they've gotten some placements, and that led to us moving straight into production. So we're actually producing and filling orders. So working off of purchase orders right now while we sort out the terms and conditions of a more robust master service agreement and supply agreement in the background, which we will finish up in the coming quarter, and we'll make an announcement. They have agreed to us announcing once that's done. So we will announce that one to the market soon. Second part of the question, on the top 5 betting company in regards to international licensing. So I was asking for an update on that. Had a meeting with one of their C-level executives last week. We are due a template of that licensing agreement now. Let me explain that clearly, though, because it's not us licensing Alexium technology for someone else to use our brand or to make our technology. It's actually partnering with a large major retail brand in betting to basically coattail their licensing into foreign countries and other continents where they actually do have folks make their beds and pillows for them there and sell them under their brand. They license the full supply chain. And these are products in North America that use Alexium PCM, and soon we'll also use Alexium Eclipsis. So we're going to be working with them as a joint supplier under those license scenarios to offer Alexium thermal management products to those licensees. So not licensing them to utilize Alexiums or to make our products or use our brands, but actually to go through the license of the large retail brand. So that's in its startup right now. We're working out the terms. That's going to be added to a broader agreement that's going to be coming. That'll be around an Eclipsis launch and bed launch in the next year. So it'll be tethered to a supply agreement that will also announce that one will probably be later this calendar year. But it is in progress and progressing well.
Okay, will you be paying interest on the convertible note? No, there is an allowance to pick the interest, which means that we will accrue it on our balance sheet. The cash interest rate on the new note is 10%, and the PIK interest is 12%. So we will take advantage of that in order to also assist in working capital management, cash management, until further notice.
Yep.
Billy, how long will the military field testing run for? Is there a standard requirement for this?
We haven't seen a defined requirement for that, but in casual discussions, they say a year, which it's starting this quarter, so that would push it out until spring of 2024. The other answer we don't know yet. It would have to come in the form of their proposals and terms that they're going to put forward. Is would they commercialize before they even finish the trials? And stands to reason that could happen. So, but you're looking traditionally about a 12-month horizon of field testing, and that's about them saying it's been in the field for a year, it's working, it's standing the rigors of washing and all the use conditions of the soldiers and Marines. I'll go back. I think we may have missed an earlier question to the FR, because I wanted to cover a lot of the FR in the presentation, but there were a couple specific questions. And one of the questions was regarding the U.S. Marines and U.S. Army's review. Are they at the same stage of review? And the answer is no, not exactly. The Army was ahead of the Marines in their review. And something we've seen that we haven't seen before in previous attempts at this is the Marines seem to be watching the Army results and moving off of those results. So what that really means is they're looking at the positive test results, initial analytical results, and that's gotten their interest. And so they've stepped up their review and are closely closing in on the Marines. So I think sometime in the coming months, they'll probably be along the same timeline. There is a nuance everybody needs to understand, though. The Marines has different requirements, and it's a smaller population than the Army. So the Army could take longer because of the size of it. And, there's a lot more niches within the Army that would have to go through the field trials. So you could see the Marines move ahead of it just on that basis. But no, they're not at the same stage. The other specific question to the FR was, we had said in the 4C more treated fabric was supplied for field trials, not once, but twice. So there's a second request for additional fabric for that. And we were producing that last week here in the Carolinas. So that'll be shipping to the military this week.
Okay, you don't mention competitors. Does that mean there aren't any and all your problems are with market development?
So no, we do have competitors, and I don't mind calling them out. I mean, we see Dow is one of the largest commodity and specialty chemical producers worldwide. They have a PCM. It's called AquaChill. We see that occasionally in the market. More often than not, we see it in foam applications. We have run into a company called Devon, D-E-V-A-N. European based, I believe out of Belgium. And we run into them recently in Europe. We haven't seen them as much in the States, but they are starting to make their presence felt. We've seen them at some of the shows, and some of the customers have brought them up. Let's see, Encapsis is another one that's out there. It's now owned by Milliken, and we do run into them in the textile and coated woven fabric space. We're actually winning against them in the market right now on price and quality. Encapsis was bought by Milliken. Milliken's a world leader in textiles, and they're based here in the Carolinas. And it appears that they were more interested in that business for the micro encapsulation technologies and the surfactants that go into things like soaps for washing clothes and other applications like food and fragrances. And that the PCM business was an adjacent part of that they bought. But we are seeing the competition in the market. More times than not, we're winning. And that's on quality and price. Well, and service. We offer a lot of technical services that our competition doesn't. We help the customer learn how to apply the products. We help them with analytical. So we do have a value add that differentiates Alexium, and it is working. And there was another part of that question. Market development. Yep. So are all of our problems market development? No, not at all. So we know we have a market for our products, and it's not the problem of development. It's really the time and energy to get there. So it's going to take, now that these products are ready, it's going to take time to develop those markets. We're not running into folks saying, no, your product doesn't work. No, we're not interested. That's not what we hear. We have a long development cycle. It's new to us. We got to learn how to apply it. Alexium has Eclipsis and Delcool, which are both very new. So you'll see the ramp come from those. PCM has just been a slow development because we're heavily concentrated in the bedding market, which has a long development cycle, anywhere from 12 to 18 months. That's a big part of it. It's a slow moving market. And then you add in, it's a 50-year low in that market. And that's, quite the negative combination. I'll speak to that market. We have seen some little blips of improvement over this first quarter of this calendar year. But reports are saying after the President's Day sale here in the States, which is really a benchmark for mattress sales, they were a little slow and soft. So what that really means is folks are expecting a slower recovery of the mattress market to be prolonged throughout this calendar year and to reach back to historical levels, which the peak was 2020, 2021, by early 2024 to start reaching those sales levels again. So we should see recovery in the next 9 months. That's been the tone in the market. I hope I answered that question. It's a very general one, and whoever asked it, if you need more specifics, please expand. I'll be happy to answer it.
Okay, I think we got through them all, Billy. So I think we're good.
Okay. Well, in closing, we'd like to thank all of you who dialed in. I wish I could see you. I can't see you. I'm talking into a screen that says questions. So hopefully I can shake your hands and get to meet you when I come to Australia, or should you come to the States, we would always open the door and welcome you here. We'll take you out for barbecue. Thank you for being an investor in Alexium. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for the good questions. And please keep them coming.
That's great, Billy. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jason, for conducting the Q&A. Just an update from me. I'm going to be over there in a couple of weeks, spend a week with the guys, and that's primarily to work through strategy, business plan, but also some of the strategies around what we've been talking about today. And so, I'm over in the US 3-4 times a year with them. the one comment I would make is that the team of Billy, Jason, and Bob do seem to be coming together and working really well. And you know, the transition, as Billy said, was smooth. You know, I have to take my hat off to Bob. He was absolutely professional and wonderful through the whole process, and so I'd specifically like to call that out. I do acknowledge that Billy was also good coming in and being aware of, you know, how hard those transitions are. But I think the key thing, hopefully, that you've seen from today is the way the team are working together, the fact that we have got so many opportunities on the horizon. The team are working hard to close them. And therefore, you know, that analysis over what we're going to spend our time on has been really important. So look, I too want to say thank you to all our investors. Some of you have been long-standing investors, and we really appreciate your support. And so, Billy, I think we can probably close up the session.
All right. Well, have a great day in Australia. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you soon.